episode of Coffee and Chats with Ads and Kells. I'm Adam Alexander, part of the Back in Charge Blueprint. And with these conversations, we're just going to be having open conversations together about mindset, about performance, about setbacks and challenges and behaviours that stop people from achieving what they truly want. So this week, me and Kells, we are going to be talking about the times when people put everything in front of themselves, whether that's work, whether that's life, whether it's family, and then they wonder why they're not achieving what they want, and they are starting to find themselves in a slow decline over time. So let's jump into it. Kells, you're only in the other room. Good to see you. And let's get into it. What's your let's start with that. What's your views on this? Where do you see this happen the most? When people put everything else in front of themselves.
First of all, I think it comes down to a lack of planning, because what happens is there isn't a particular structure to the day, and then it's like, oh my goodness, I wanted to do this for me, but the time's gone because there wasn't that set in stone bit done, and then straight away you feel like your cup's half empty. So it feels like before the day's even really got going, you're chasing your tail because you've got this to-do list and it just feels really overwhelming. So then people just start handing out to others. And then what happens is when you're tired, when the day is coming to an end, when there's really nothing left in the tank, you're like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do X, Y, Z for me. I'll do it tomorrow. And then that is where it starts to become a habit and a behavior. Tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Tomorrow. Again, it's not just with just health, doing something for themselves, health-wise. It could be anything, couldn't it? Even myself, I'm going, I hold my hands up to this. There's things that I've done in the past that I've wanted to do in the past to move the business forwards, that I've gone, I won't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you give me that look. You give me that look, don't you? And you're like, Ads, come on, you said that yesterday. You said that last week.
You said that, yeah, exactly. But I think, Ads, being honest with that, why do you think you've done that in the past, or sometimes do that? And with clients as well, what do you think the real reason?
The real reason, for personally, it's the not. Yeah. I know the connection is a bit sketchy. It's the not knowing, right? It's the not knowing of how it's going to look, of not knowing how it's going to play out. We have this end goal in sight. We know where our destination is, where we want it to go to, but we don't know the route that's going to take us there. So what happens is for myself, my experiences, and also for a lot of other people's experiences, is that they don't know the route. They don't know what that's going to look like because they've tried other things in the past and it hasn't worked. So they don't know the route that's going to actually get them there. So you know what? It's easier to stay where I am and not do it. Exactly, because I know what this feels like. I know where I am and I know the result that I'm going to get by me doing what I'm currently doing. Now, it may not make me happy. It may not make those other people happy by them not taking action. It niggles, right? It niggles. But you know what you're going to get. It's a bit like when, when I used to work in the rehab, right? In the drug and alcohol rehab. People know that they shouldn't do alcohol, drugs, and, whatever. They shouldn't do those things that cause addictions. But people do, right? They do. They know that when they then go in, they go and do whatever drug or whatever, whatever drink it is, or, whatever the vice is, they know they shouldn't do it. They also catch themselves whilst they're doing it, but they continue to do it.
Because it's a learned behaviour.
because it's a learned behavior and they know what the outcome of that is going to be. Like, that's what it is. It's that learned behavior. And they know what reaction they're going to get afterwards. Even though they get the guilt, they get the shame, and they get all of that afterwards, they still do it. They still do it because they know what it's going to, because they're familiar with the outcome. They're familiar with the result. So that is why they do it. So that is just how it keeps going. You know, that is why people keep doing what they do, even though it's not actually benefiting them at all. And the same goes for work. You know, you put in off, you know, having that conversation, you know what the outcome is going to be. You know what the outcome is going to be. You're not going to progress. Whatever it is. Does that make sense? I think I lost you for a little bit there. But, you know,
yeah, sometimes it's crackling up a bit. No, it does make sense. And I think, like we've been speaking about it this week, we get into behaviors and habits that aren't serving us. But the funny thing is, that becomes comfortable, even though it's not comfortable and even though it's not getting you to where you want to be. But as well as that, we've also been talking about, well, actually, the only way to break away from that pattern and behavior is by leaning into the unknown, is by taking the step on the path. And that's the thing. I also think people know the goal, but they also want to see like the route. How's it going to look? What's the next step? But the thing is, it's like when you're climbing a mountain, right? You can't say for certain when you're at the bottom, right? This is the route. These are the steps. This is exactly how it's going to go. You don't know. It's going to change as you go. But that's the key thing. You just have to begin. You just have to start. Right. You just have to take the first step and allow your ego to stop trying to control it all. Stop trying to know it all. Be willing enough, be hungry enough to want the change, to want to make the change, and accept the fact that I know the goal. I don't know the exact route, but I know right now this is the next step. Because as we say, it's like doing a puzzle, right? You look at it and you'd be like, oh, there's so many pieces. You just have to put the first piece down, then put them and then it just becomes that little bit lighter. And then with the lightness, you feel a little bit more confident. And with that, you just keep stepping. And I think like more people need to allow themselves to accept that you're not going to know the path. You can know the goal, but you're not going to know the path, and just focus on that step.
Exactly. You know, so again, like with what you just said about the step and the path and all of that, it's like that, you know, you sent me that post on Instagram, didn't you? You know, about, you know, that yeah, you do, about that Bible quote, you know, about when, you know, he takes the people to, you know, to the sea, and there's the water's in front of them. But then what he does is he just takes one step into it, and then the sea just starts to part ways, which then shows the path forwards. But that path doesn't appear
until you step.
Until you have the courage and the trust and the belief that it will appear if you take action.
And I think it's important. Go on.
No, go on.
I think with that, it's important as well, because some people might be like, well, yeah, that's easy to say, but I'm not around anyone else who's done that. So that as well is there like a limiting factor. So I think with that, it's really important is why you surround yourself with people who are already where you want to be or are doing it too. The importance of being around a like-minded community, a supportive community, and also those who are there where you are, because it's just validation that it is possible, it is attainable. But don't hang around those who are not interested in your goal, who have no interest in wanting to push further, achieve more. Because if you keep surrounding yourself with those people, then that is just like a dead weight pulling you down, right?
That's it. And again, it just goes back to that familiarity,
mm-hmm.
Doesn't it? You know that if you're going to go and spend time with Bob, right? Let's call him Bob.
Is that the best name you could think of?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go for Robert. right, let's go for his proper name, right? Let's go for Robert, right? We know that if we're going to go and spend time with Robert, then he's going to, the conversation's going to go like X, Y, Z, and it's going to be draining. And I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, like, well, that was a waste. But then
and you're going to leave feeling worse.
Exactly. Whereas again, like there's, for people that want to achieve things, you have to look at a few things. First of all, you've got to have that courage to take those first steps, even if you don't know the way it's going to go. Okay.
Yeah, so you need the decision as well.
Yeah, you need that decision, right? You've got to make that decision to take that step.
Decision, then courage.
Secondly, you've got to be in that right group, right? You've got to be in the right room of people. It's like my coach the other day, right? I was on a call with Phil, and he was talking, and he goes, if you've got a pain in the back, if you've got a pain, a back pain, you're not going to go to your dentist, are you? You go to the right people that are going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you've got to be in the right room. Is this person, are these group of people actually going to help me get there, or are they going to make my back pain worse?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like that's that. Okay. And then also you've got to follow it. Just keep going. Yes, you are. And have that flexibility and be willing to navigate that route, because there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be times that when you are stepping, when you are making those decisions and you are moving, that it's not going to work.
Yeah. And on that
you're not going to do it first time, are you?
You're not going to smash it first time. And I think as well, sometimes when people do decide, right, let's do this, which is great, and they're doing it, I think there also comes like this mindset of, well, I expect it to be fast. And if they don't see results consistently, well, hang on, I just took that step. So why aren't I now seeing validation? It's like with anything, right? Like when building a business, it's not going to be easy. And sometimes it's going to feel like you're stepping and nothing. But you just have to have the faith. Which is why the community and being around like-minded and those who have done it, to know that actually you're not always going to get a result every single time.
Exactly.
But you need to keep going.
Exactly. So nice. So very short and sweet today, Kels. Very short and sweet and to the point. So is there anything else that you would like to comment on that situation, on this experience?
I think just to wrap it up, make it short and sweet, because we could talk about this for ages, is if you know that actually, okay, right, I want to set out on my journey, I want to do this, just allow yourself to ask. I say this to you a lot, don't I? As like, just allow yourself to ask. So if you're like, there's a particular journey that you want and it keeps being going on in your head, and you're watching this today and thinking, all I ask for you today is your next step is to reach out to that person that you know can help you and ask, okay, this is what I want. I'm open to a conversation. Please tell me what would be required to move forwards. And that in itself is the courage that we spoke about earlier on.
Exactly, right? And the courage and the willingness to keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Keep going. All right, cool, you've had a conversation with one person, or you've sought help in one way. Just keep moving forwards. Go with another person. Just keep moving forwards.
Yeah, exactly. Keep moving forwards. And I think sometimes as well, people think, oh, well, I have tried and it didn't work out, so it's like not going to work for me. But I would flip it and be like, cool, now I'm just getting feedback as what's not right for my journey. It's not, oh, I've tried one thing and it's failed. Like, come on, let's rise up a bit. That's just told me that's not my path.
Exactly. Nice one. So cool, Kels, let's wrap it up there.
Let's wrap it up.
Coffee and Chats is done for this week. Please, if you want to listen to it fully, go to our YouTube channel. Okay, if you want to listen to previous episodes as well, please go and find them on our YouTube channel. Also on our YouTube channel, you can find conversations with other people, with other industries. We have got the Reclaim Your Edge podcast, where I'm speaking to people in other industries, other experts who give their experiences and their expertise on how you can learn and you can make one decision today which is going to better you. Also from people as well that have actually done that as well, okay, that have made those changes. Right, so thank you for joining me today. I'm Adam, this is Kerrie, and you have